I was here
Sure.
when they
So
did
probably-
them, so I do have
Nicole?
a maximum.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to see it.
Sure.
But you know what, in the future, that's what we should do, is offer,
Sure,
before we open it up to the. Well, I panicked on Saturday because the date, usually they're. And it was like 8:15.
Yeah.
And they still weren't there, so I texted Ingrid, where's the guy?
Yeah, now that you say that, it's funny though, like, 'cause in past.
Good job moving forward.
Early.
We gotta take care of me.
Oh, really?
So is
Let's see who.
Yeah,
we didn't have as much stuff out, but.
she may have a different order.
Yeah.
Was this 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Scrunch that.
That would have been.
Yeah,
nice.
would you do the Facebook shot?
Came from, I'm trying to remember. Looks like it's from my LinkedIn profile.
Looks like they framed it a little differently.
Keep the title short.
15? Good way to go out.
Yeah, really, I caught it.
Right?
It's out. Yeah, how the lines.
Office supplies, right? Yeah.
Any public comment?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May combined workshop and regular meeting of your Board of Trustees. To honor our nation's heroes and especially to honor the men and women in uniform who serve and protect our community, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Horvath, may we have the roll call, please?
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Hansen.
Here.
Trustee Timick.
Here.
Trustee Allen.
Here, sadly, for the last time.
Trustee Rudolph.
Here.
Trustee Sifferman.
Here.
Trustee Teroff.
Here.
Thank you.
All present.
Thank you. Having read the agenda, does any trustee have any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to a very happy event that we're proud to honor tonight, a citizen life-saving recognition. Deputy Chief Kelly, did you want to come up?
Thank you, President Gallagher and members of the board. It's my pleasure to recognize tonight two young residents of the village for their life-saving actions. If I could have Eddie Casper.
Not turn on?
Technical difficulties. So I apologize. I've heard throughout Western Springs. All right. So I'd like to bring up Eddie Casper and Brett Casper and tell a little bit of story about why they're getting recognized tonight. So come on up, guys. So on April 9th, the fire department got dispatched to a person choking. And typically these calls either turn out to be really true emergencies or sometimes the obstruction's relieved by the time the ambulance gets there and everything turns out okay and the ambulance personnel just need to check them out to make sure they're okay. And that's what happened that night on April 9th. Everything turned out to be okay. But as the medics were talking to the family, the reason why everything turned out okay is because of the heroic actions of Eddie and Brett. because their mom was the person that was choking that night. And Eddie stepped into action and delivered the Heimlich maneuver to his mom while Brett called 911 to get emergency services to the scene. And I can tell you, being a paramedic, doing the Heimlich maneuver is stressful. And to have to do it on your mom, that's even more stressful. And I don't know if anyone's ever had the chance to call 911 in an emergency situation, but usually your stomach's in your throat. You're hoping that you get the right information out, that you can answer the dispatch answer those questions and get the emergency services rolling. And I listened to the 911 tape, and Brett did an outstanding job in calling 911 and getting the ambulance to their house that night. So for your actions, we'd like to recognize you with a certificate. And if I could read that, it says the Western Springs Department of Fire EMS Certificate of Appreciation is hereby awarded to Brett and Eddie Casper for their life-saving actions and assistance on an emergency medical incident on April 9, 2019, awarded this date, May 20, 2019. And signed by our Fire Chief, Pat Kenny. He's on vacation today, and he certainly passes along his congratulations and thanks for your actions that night. Certainly made our job a lot easier that night. So, Brett, we also have a T-shirt for you guys, and this is our 125th, commemorating the 125th anniversary of the fire department. So, wear that proudly, and thank you very much for your actions that night. Thank you so much. You guys did a great job.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Knowing these two fine young men as I do, I'm not surprised at their quick thoughts and their quick action in taking what could have been a very terrible situation and making it a non-event. And we are happy, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we're happy to honor you tonight. It really underscores the importance of knowing CPR, the Heimlich maneuver, and other life-saving techniques, because the chief tells us that often the people you are called upon to save are people you know, either loved ones or friends, and so your quick actions and thoughts and being calm in the moment of a situation that would cause most people to panic is truly commendable. Thank you very much, Brett and Eddie.
Can we ask some questions?
Oh, sure.
Boys,
Trustee
boys.
Sifferman would like to ask you a few questions.
Boys, come on up.
Now, remember, they're my neighbors. So.
So, why don't you stand over there so
You're on the
the
mic.
camera can see you? So, it's a pretty scary situation, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you saw this?
Well, for me, my mom does tend to choke sometimes. Like, I was just thinking, oh, okay, she's choking again, just
Yeah.
kind of like not taking it seriously. And then I was like, are you okay? And she's like, and she looked at me, she's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I couldn't. She said, I don't know. She didn't say anything. She couldn't talk. I'd come here for a class a few years ago with my dad's business.
There you go.
And I just kind of remembered it. I'm shocked I remembered it, but and then I just started doing it on her, and it was probably 40 seconds before the chip didn't come flying out of her mouth, and was just dislodged. And then she was fine after that. She kind of was just out of it.
Yeah. But you must have been exhausted after that, huh?
Yeah, no, I was exhausted. I was scared. Kind of just made it a little kind of a mess for me. But
And so you ran to get the call into the 911 center, huh? Yeah, I pretty much just ran as fast as I could. Oh, man. Well, it's a family story now that's going to stick with your family for years to come, and I'm sure everybody will be proud of you every time they hear that story, and think great thoughts about how you were able to save your mother's life. Very well. Great, guys.
Thank you, guys.
job.
Appreciate it. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's up to you. Thank you. Okay, under new business, we have two items tonight. The first one is the Foxford Station ordinance approving streetscape design. Trustee Terrell?
Thank you, President Gallagher. We need to consider an ordinance approving the streetscape design. The ordinance that originally approved Foxford Station included a provision that the developer would return to the board for approvals of various improvements. Included in that was the approval of the streetscape and landscape designs. Streetscape includes streetlights, trees, shrubs, benches, decorative pavers, things of that nature between the front of Foxford and the street. Now, we discussed this last month regarding both the Wolf Road side of the project, which required and did obtain county approval, and the Burlington side of it, which is ours. The Wolf Road streetscape was presented in April and includes trees, pavers, landscapes, planters, and streetlights. Burlington option includes trees, pavers, and a lawn. And it came before us, and we had absolutely no problem with it. We thought it was very positive. And I think we're going to have a presentation today from Marty or John about what you're going to, what it's going to include. We're going to have this on the omnibus today.
Thank you, Trustee Terrell. You summarized it perfectly. This is one of those loose end items that we knew would be addressed later in the process as Foxford was being completed. At the time it was approved, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, there was some unknowns as far as what the county would accept and what we would want, the village would want on Burlington Avenue, since we have that jurisdiction to deal with. And as Trustee Terrell was saying, along the Burlington side, we don't know at this point whether it would be a restaurant or be some type of other commercial use like office or retail, in which case you'd want to keep some options open for either outdoor dining space or, as John McFarland and a landscape architect that was consulting with us said, maybe put some green lawn there that could brighten that up and soften it up as far as a hardscape element, as far as the amount of hardscape that would be there, and then be replaced with concrete or with pavers, decorative pavers, if it became a restaurant at some point. So those options are there to be considered by us in the future here if there's some changes. But the main thing was Wolf Road, as Trustee Terrell alluded to. Cook County is usually pretty utilitarian in what they allow along the right-of-ways. And they're not very fancy, let's just say. This is not fancy, but it is something that'll complement the building very nicely with landscaping hugging the building, and then some street trees out near the curb, and with some pavers that will tie in nicely to current and then future improvements around the downtown that have both been completed in the past few years and then are to come in the future. So there's the ordinance that was mentioned is something that has a few more of those loose ends. On the south wall that faces the Baptist church, there's not too many options for planting there, but Mr. McFarland's been looking into those. It's mostly ivy with some possible shrubs that could go in there, some trees. And then on the back terrace on the east side, that was talked about quite a bit during the entitlement and zoning process, that is for the residents up there, screening that from the areas around it. So those are some follow-up options that Mr. McFarland will return to you with. But as Trustee Terrell said, Planning and Zoning Committee looked at the other day, and there was a collaborative effort before that from staff, developer, and our consulting landscape architect and engineer to get us to this point. So we think it's a good plan and recommend approval of the ordinance.
So the plan, a sketch of the plan is in your package. Does anybody have any questions or comments on it? On the omnibus. And then Trustee Terrell, the second item is also within your committee?
Correct. The second order of new business concerns a conditional use permit for Spring Rock Park. Because of the tollway widening and the shoe fly track coming into the Spring Rock Park, the Park District needs to make modifications to the park itself. Spring Rock Park is a conditional use, so changes to the property have to need a permit, a new conditional use. Park District is moving the 4 west tennis courts to an area where right now the 2 basketball courts and the volleyball pit are located. We went over this very thoroughly. Walt Naki came in and had a full presentation, and he had plans and told us about the lighting and the trees that would be removed, and we again thought that we should move very quickly forward to this so that the residents could appreciate Spring Rock Park once it gets completed. We have a presentation on this too, Marty, or? Okay, right.
Going to explain a little bit about the project.
Walt Nacky, Executive Director with the Park District. Accompanying me is two of our commissioners, Matt Kroll and Jim Sarancione. To support this, Madam President, esteemed trustees of the Village of Western Springs, I'm before you seeking a conditional use permit. So the idea here is nearly a $1 million improvement to tennis courts that have reached their end of useful life, that will be put in a location that's ideal for tennis courts. And let me go over before and after how this project will be completed and what we're considering. We'll use old-fashioned paper. This is the existing Spring Rock Park. Has anybody been there? Good.
That's your choice.
We'll share.
Here. This is what we've got right now. Okay? So as you can see, and beg me for how small this is, but the existing park has 4 tennis courts right here, right? Over here, closer to Central, has 3 courts, right? So what happens is when the tollway starts their construction, which they've already started now, they're going to punch a hole in this berm over here. And then we'll have construction traffic running right to the north of our park district. In fact, it abuts to the 4 old tennis courts. So not only are those at the end of useful life, lights. All right. Thank you. So not only are those courts at end of useful life, but this project, because of the tollway, they'll be unplayable. So we had to come out with a solution. Okay? So the solution is essentially it's a great solution. It's an ideal solution. Why? All right, first of all, this is where the existing 4 courts are, right? We're going to take those and move those over here. What happens here, long term, we get 46 more parking spaces, which are sorely needed. We add green space, because we'll cut down on the amount of pavement in that existing 4 courts, okay? Then we'll move the 4 courts over here. Now, if you remember, if you've been over there, this is a big hill right here. On top of that hill is a very mature canopy of trees. Some of those trees are 30, 40 feet high. So you're looking at about, somewhere between 70 and 80 feet that you can tuck 4 courts with lights behind. So there's virtually no light pollution whatsoever. It helps also to reduce any kind of noise, okay? In the middle of this, between the 2 courts now, we'll have a seating area. Low-key seating area.
So your new 4 courts are going to be just south of the courts that
Correct.
are currently there?
Here's the
Okay.
3 that
Right.
exist.
And then the 4 will be south of those?
Correct.
Yes, with the pavilion in between.
Now, as you look at your diagram, you can see there's 2 basketball courts, right? And there's a volleyball court. That will go, we're going to take out the volleyball court. It's never used. Right? In fact, it's full of wasps. We have to clear them out. We'll take out 1 basketball court, and we'll put in a new basketball court. Okay? Up here, we'll put in ADA parking, which is really needed, in front of those old courts, right? New pathways, all ADA approved, 5 feet. Right? So you're going to enhance an amenity and an offering with about $850,000. The drainage, we're putting in new storm sewer, 36-inch line combined sewer over here, storm and sewer over here. Then all this area will be drained over this way towards the new storm. It'll be connected to what the village needs, and that will exit into Flag Creek. So not only are you offering a better picture, better drainage, right, better detention, okay? So you've really got a great solution that's going to improve the entire situation. So that's kind of what we're after. I think there's 3 concerns. One of those was light pollution, but that's non-existent. I mean, We've done a photometric study at 0 away from the courts. The lights that we put in will be LEDs, which are focused. They put more light on the courts and less away, which is really an important concept. It'll be quiet back there. In fact, one of the other concerns is what about the property values surrounding? And there's a rumor out that Roger Federer wants to actually buy one.
I heard he's sponsoring one of the benches on the pavilion.
Yeah. So between what's going on, that, less pollution for the lights, great addition to the park district, to Spring Rock Park. So it adds up pretty good project. That's what we want to do. We seek your approval. We put a lot of money and time invested in this. Over 7 public hearings, okay, have already been completed. This is what has been, after all those meetings, is supported by the tennis community and a lot of residents. With that, I'll ask if there's any questions.
Could you talk about the trees a little bit, that there are some trees that do have to come out?
So we're going to take out 19 trees, of which 10 are diseased. They're either ash, they're elm, or they're ready to go. So you've got 9 trees. Most of those are young, because we plant about, in the last 4 years, I planted probably 40 trees in this general area. Okay, so it's not a big loss. There are 2 maples. It's going to break my heart personally to see those go, but that's part of the nature of it. But what's really encouraging, if you look at our 5-year plan that's been approved here recently, you can see that we have a whole tree canopy study that'll be applied to the areas over here and try to have a consistent long-term plan for tree replacement.
Place them, how many trees? All of them, or all 9, or?
Yeah, there'll be more than 9 be
Okay.
replaced over this period. Like I said, we've replaced in the last 4 years, 40
Wow.
in this general area. So yeah, you lose some. You lose some because of what we do naturally, because we're a park district. That's what we do, is take out old trees and put in new, right? So, you know, any of our projects, we did the playground, we had to take out some big trees, but you always replace them. And that's the nature of it. But what we haven't done is look at a study and say, what do we really want to do with our tree canopy? But the good news is if you look at what that old diagram is, the essence of that canopy that protects, that we see when we go by Spring Rock Park, will be left intact.
You might want to explain the funding, like where the $850,000 is coming from for the benefit of those who have not heard it, or?
So that funding has been negotiated over the last 12 months with the tollway. When they came in, we saw the infringement that was going to happen because of not only some taking of our property, but what it's going to do to the entrance into our Spring Rock, the safety concerns, the environmental concerns. So we ended up negotiating for $850,000 in just compensation for the diminishment value of what they're doing to our parks. That's where that came from. Now, that's quite an investment into the tennis community, and
Sure.
put a lot of time and effort into it.
Am I correct in my recollection that some of the materials that will be used in demolishing the old tennis courts will be converted and used in the construction of the new courts?
It sure will. In fact, the old courts, right, the 4 that are on the west side, those will be pulverized. Also, all the surface area on the basketball courts will be pulverized. So that pulverization then goes into the base to build the new courts. So it's like a recycling program.
Yeah.
Director Supert, Mr. Nackey mentioned water going into Flag Creek, some drainage down there. Does this impact further south any of the Flag Creek, the backup flooding that we've experienced?
In terms of
Is
drainage, you're
it
talking
more
south of-
volume
south
going
of
into the
47th Street?
same location?
I myself have not seen what the stormwater mitigation or plan would be. That is reviewed as part of the permit process through Marty's department.
MWRD also does get involved with that. There's likely an MWARD permit that would be involved as part of the plan review process that goes through all of that. And they would, typically, developments like this have to develop some sort of detention, either on-site or an adjacent site to handle some of that water if additional water is developed. So I don't have the specific numbers to answer whether we're going to see a significant amount of water downstream.
So this has been studied with the help of Jeff Ziegler. Okay. So we've worked arm in arm with our engineering firm and Jeff to provide the detention requirements. So what Matt's talking about is all this that does eventually, because you're going to be required to get an easement from us to go across it and put essentially a storm sewer underneath the railroad tracks. All that will go into Flag Creek, but there'll be restrictions that will be placed in the restrictor. So it'll be controlled. We studied it. In fact, our board asked the same question, Barry. And we're satisfied that it's not going to be a big issue, as is Jeff.
Okay, thank you. And I guess my last question, maybe you guys, and I apologize, you're asking for a conditional use permit, and maybe Marty or the village attorney, like, you're a separate legal body, correct? Like, I guess I'm not quite sure what we're being asked to approve or do.
Right. That's exactly it, a conditional use permit.
Yeah, this is just an introduction to the concept and the application. From here, it's going to go to a public hearing before the Plan Commission. Then this plan will come back to you after the Plan Commission reviews it and makes a recommendation.
I'm sorry, like, my confusion is between the two boards.
Two boards?
If,
Okay.
if they want to
Yep.
do this on their property, what does the village need to, like,
The
is
village
it a
needs
change
to-
in their?
No, the village needs to approve a conditional use permit. Every public body is still subject to zoning, whether it's at the state level, the county level, or the local level. And so the Park District is subject to municipal zoning. So they do have to get either a permit or an amended permit from us. And in this case, the determination was made that they needed to apply for, an amended permit.
And this is just, like you said, this is just an introduction where
Yep.
there'll be more public meetings and so forth when that actual permit and the texture of it will come before a future board, right?
Yeah, it's anticipated from here, it'll go to a plan commission relatively quickly, a plan commission public hearing in probably the next 30 days, and then it'll come back to the village board, shortly thereafter for final action, because they have a timetable that they need to keep. So it's important that we approve this permit in order to allow them to keep track of, or stay on track with their timetable.
Well, and I guess, is your timing like August, September-ish to,
We want to start construction August 12th.
okay, because that's,
Barry, the way we were looking at it, working through with Marty and everybody, looks like if everything goes and there's no objections, as we notify residents that are surrounding, by August or July 8th, we should have a permit approval. That enables us to get the bids out, award the bid, and start construction August 12th, which also gives the ability for the tennis folks to complete their programs.
the whole season
Yes.
they'll be able to finish. And that somewhat loosely coincides with, I believe, where the tollway wants to begin their work, right? On the shoe fly.
We would turn over those old courts to them so they can use it as staging area.
Okay, thank you.
Walt, how much of the 850 will pay for these tennis courts and the parking lot that you're saying you were going to put in?
So the parking lot is not included in the 850. My most recent probable cost from our engineering company is $855,000.
For the tennis courts?
Yes.
Oh, so apples to apples.
Correct.
The parking lot, how does that get funded? Do
They
we- do
pay
we-
for it, the tollway.
Oh, tollway does.
We'll
Okay.
come back later for a conditional use permit for that. We'll show you designs and specifications. But that's going to be 3 or 4 years down the road.
Okay.
And that parking lot is just to make more parking available at Spring Rock Park. It's not commuter parking, because I know we're losing commuter parking spaces too temporarily.
Temporarily.
Yeah, but, so that's just for the Spring Rock Park use. Okay.
Attorney Jaruzik, maybe if you could remind the public that we also, at the Village of Western Springs, went through the conditional use.
Yeah,
process for our
everybody,
well.
I mean, the conditional use process that we're talking about here applies to residents, applies to taxing bodies, equally. If your property needs a conditional use permit, you have to apply and go through it. And for example, it's not just residents, it's not just the park district, but the village in constructing its well number 5, the new well in Field Park, had to go through this same process. The village actually had to apply to itself, right, as the applicant, run through a public hearing process, before the Plan Commission, get a recommendation out of that body. We had to, dot the I and cross the Ts in terms of, having all the same documents, studies, drainage consultants, everybody weigh in. And then the board really had to approve its own conditional use permit. It seems a little odd, but that's just the way that zoning works in Illinois.
And I think it's important for transparency. I mean, there is something about substantially altering the use of the property requires the conditional use permit. An argument to be made that this doesn't really substantially alter it, but given that you're a public body and we're a public body, transparency and doing everything, by the book is important. So we certainly support you in your project, support the park board, and will expedite the process any way we can, but it's important to follow the process.
Attorney Giroussik, one similar to the well number 5 point you made. I think it's also important to note about the notification of the nearby residents. Again, same process.
Yeah, the same notification process, which is a notice in the newspaper gets published, and then there's a mailing to people, with a certain, distance from, the property site that will, receive a letter. And they'll either mail them or they can hand deliver them. That's allowed. And so that's up to the park district how they want to notify. But a written notice will go to, essentially all, residents that are adjacent to the boundaries of the park will get written notice.
When we did the soccer fields, we went and notified everybody. By knocking on the door, we left something for them so they could see what we're doing. So that's how we do it. All our projects, we go out and we notify neighbors. Very important to us. Transparency, make sure they have input. 7 input meetings at least on this project. I'd also put it as a public notice on the website. There's been a lot of work done.
Any other questions of Mr. Nackey? Well, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. There's no action on this tonight. This is just for information. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Moving on to citizen comments. This is the time of the meeting where we open up the meeting to our residents in case they want to address the board. Does anyone wish to address the board this evening? Guri?
My name is Gary Rhodes. I live at 5100 Commonwealth Avenue in Western Springs. This comment is regarding the intergovernmental agreement with the tollway, which is item 7 on tonight's agenda. First off, I would like to give a sincere thanks to President Alice Gallagher and Attorney Mike Giroussik for their comments at the April meeting of the General Government Committee, as reported in the minutes of that meeting. They gave a strong endorsement of the idea that Commonwealth should have an important voice what happens relative to the impact the tollway expansion will have on stormwater runoff. Tollway plans to add over 630,000 square feet of new hard surface in the area adjoining Commonwealth. That's the size of 14 football fields. All of this new hard surface, repeat, all of it, will drain across Commonwealth and into Flag Creek. I stress this because it might be natural to assume that half of the drainage is going onto the Hinsdale side. It is not. I am not an authorized representative of or a spokesperson for Commonwealth. I do, however, have some standing in that I am still part owner of Flag Creek and have given easement rights to the tollway for stormwater, which rights may be impacted by what the tollway does. I had with me tonight an information sheet about Flag Creek, which I will leave with you for the record. You all have received copies of that. I won't go through it now except to stress a couple of things. Over 75% of the surface area of Western Springs drains into Flag Creek. Besides Western Springs, Flag Creek drains parts of Clarinet Hills, almost all of Hinsdale, and areas to the south, such as Indian Head Park and Burr Ridge. At 55th Street, where it leaves Commonwealth, Commonwealth has contributed only 3.2% of the Western Springs runoff and 1.1% of the total stormwater runoff at that point. Yet both the Village of Western Springs and the Toll Highway Authority entrusted Commonwealth with the task of caring for 100% of Flag Creek's maintenance. What's done is done, and it's a burden that was voluntarily accepted. But it's my sincere hope the village will help us and work with us on these stormwater management issues. We can definitely use the expertise and the help of the village engineer, as well as his support when it comes to matters that are potentially detrimental to our community. One example of things detrimental is the open drainage ditch the tollway wants to put on our side of the wall. People, of course, try to put a spin on things. They don't call it a ditch, but a vegetated swale, designed to purify the water by filtering out the trash and road salt and road oils. The other side of the same coin, of course, is that the filtered out trash and road salt and road oils stay on the surface. And it is right in the middle of our community. So please help us figure out a different way. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for compiling the fact sheet. We will keep it with us and in consideration as we continue our talks with the tollway. Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to the omnibus. The Illinois state statutes allow a municipality to collectively vote on a group of ordinances, resolutions, and other motions such as awards of contract, appointments, etc. This is known as an omnibus vote. All the items contained on the omnibus vote list have been previously discussed by the President and Board of Trustees on at least one occasion, and often on several occasions. By placing them on the omnibus vote list, a single vote may be taken to approve them. A trustee may remove any item from the list and have it discussed and voted on separately prior to the omnibus vote. Is there any such request this evening?
Yes, President Gallagher, item number 7, the IGA, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Trustee Timmett will remove that and vote on that separately after the omnibus vote.
Thank you, President Gallagher. For the last time, I move that the following ordinances, resolutions, and motions as contained on the meeting agenda for May 20th, 2019 be adopted and/or approved under an omnibus vote. Agenda item number 3, approval of minutes of the meeting of April 22nd, 2019. Agenda item number 4, ordinance 19-2956, amending section 4-1-10A10 of the Western Springs Village Code to increase the number of Class J special events on village-owned property, beer and wine only, liquor licenses available for issuance, and to authorize issuance of a Class J special event liquor license to the Western Springs Business Association for the 2019 Gathering on the Green, 2019 Fall Festival, and 2019 Winter Wonderland event to be conducted on the Village Tower Green area and portions of the adjacent rights-of-way of Hillgrove Avenue, Lawn Avenue, Grand Avenue, and Walnut Street. Agenda item number 5, ordinance 19-2957, granting final approval of the Foxford Streetscape plans for the construction and operation of a commercial residential mixed-use development known as Foxford Station, located at the 4441 to 4453 Wolf Road properties and the 4450 Johnson Avenue property. Agenda item number 6, resolution 19-2487, approving the content of and/or release of certain closed meeting minutes of regular and special meetings and workshop meeting of the President and Board of Trustees 2017 full year review and 2018 full year review. Agenda item number 8, resolution 19-2489, authorizing and approving the execution of professional services agreements between the Village of Western Springs and Baxter and Woodman Incorporated in regard to professional services for IEPA loan assistance, well number 5 electrical building, and well number 5 pumping equipment projects. Agenda item number 9, resolution 19-2490, approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement submitted by 845 Design Group, PC, for professional design services, project cost estimate preparation, contract bidding, and construction administration work related to the sensory room project at Grand Avenue Center. Agenda item number 10, resolution 19-2491, authorizing the approval and execution of a standard terms and conditions agreement for the implementation of municipal ordinance violation enforcement, MOVE, and municipal offensive system, MOSS, web-based adjudication software system programs with Municipal Systems, Inc., MSI. Agenda item number 11, Resolution 19-2492, authorizing and approving the execution of a utility easement agreement for a permanent easement and a temporary construction easement regarding access to an existing underground combined sanitary and storm sewer overflow pipe located under the real property commonly known as 1327 West 48th Street, Lot 1, and 1331 West 48th Street, Lot 2, Western Springs, Illinois. Agenda item number 12, motion to approve a license and indemnification agreement for temporary use of a public right-of-way to operate a beer and wine retail sales tent and alcoholic beverages sales consumption area at special events, Western Springs Business Association for 2019 special events, Gathering on the Green, Fall Festival, and Winter Wonderland event. Agenda item number 13, motion to approve an agreement with Comcast for a backup internet services for a 3-year term at a monthly cost of $1,023.90, $12,286.80 annual cost. Agenda item number 14, motion to approve an award of contract to lowest qualified responsible bidder, Strata Construction of Addison, Illinois, for the 2019 sidewalk curb and gutter replacement program in the amount of $76,612.50. Agenda item number 15, motion to award a contract to sole and qualified RFP respondent RGN Group of Wheaton, Illinois, for the 2019 smoke testing program at a total cost of $19,998.88. Previous project bid proposals were rejected by the Board of Trustees on April 22, 2019, and staff was directed to request revised proposals from the firms that originally submitted for the project.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Attorney Jerusik told me that he worked on shortening the titles of these items, but I think we'll have to continue working on that.
Refinement is in order, right?
Any discussion on the omnibus? Hearing none, may we have the roll call vote, please, Clerk Horvath?
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Terrell.
Aye.
Trustee Timick.
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman.
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph.
Aye.
Trustee Hanson.
Aye.
Trustee Barry.
Aye.
And President Gallagher.
Aye. Thank you. Now, agenda item number 7, Trustee Timick, that's your committee as well, so.
That's correct. President Gallagher, I move that the following ordinance, resolution, or motion as contained on the agenda be adopted and are approved. Agenda item number 7, Resolution 19-2488, approving and authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Illinois State Toll Highway Authority and the Village of Western Springs regarding certain proposed construction improvements to the Tri-State Tollway, I-294, and the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway, BNSF-RR Bridge, MP 26.6, Bridge number 261, and other proposed village public infrastructure improvements to be made adjacent to or within the village corporate limits.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Discussion? No. I do want to thank staff and Attorney Jerusik for their hard work on drafting this IGA. I think it does protect us in our infrastructure during the construction, as well as we'll find many benefits with the tollway, and we'll work mutually with the tollway to get this done with as little disruption to our residents as possible. Trustee Horvath, may we have the roll call vote, please?
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Terrell.
Aye.
Trustee Timick.
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman.
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph.
Aye.
Trustee Hanson.
Aye.
Trustee Barry.
Trustee Allen, nay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's my apologies.
No worries.
It passes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Clerk Horvath. Moving on to the monthly financial report. Trustee Rudolph?
The April results are not quite ready, so we are going to review those at our next meeting. Nothing further.
Thank you. Now we come to the portion of the meeting that I was not looking forward to. It's very difficult to say goodbye to our 3 trustees who collectively have served 20 years as trustees to the village. When you add it all up, it's a lot of time. And no words can do justice to the exceptional and selfless service that you all have done in your time on the board. In that time, these trustees have overseen the renovation and implementation of the reverse osmosis water plant, provided leadership in the reconstruction and streetscape improvements at the East Train platform, thoroughly analyzed and supported the South TIF tax increment financing in advance of the Foxford project, and then closely studied and ultimately approved the plans for Foxford Station, the village's largest development of its kind to date. And this is just some of the highlights, and many other things they have reviewed, and they've done it well, and we will miss your experience and your expertise. Just have some plaques. Elaine. Elaine's coming up. I have just a little bit to say individually. Ed Timick was first elected to the board in 2011. When he was elected, he was chief of the Prairie Trail Federation and an AYSO coach. Now his kids are engaged in high school sports and looking at colleges and where does the time go. But yet Ed managed a busy family life, a very busy work travel schedule, and the duties and responsibilities of village trustee admirably. He has lived in Western Springs his entire life and brought a wealth of knowledge to the board that only a lifelong resident can have. During his term of office, Ed has served on the Finance Committee, the General Government Committee, and Planning and Zoning Committee. Is there one I missed?
No, I think that's it.
Ed's deep knowledge of local governance and especially municipal finances has been invaluable to the board. Always cheerful, always reasonable, Ed's direct and common sense approach to complex issues has been refreshing, and we will miss his astute judgment on the board.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sheila McGuire Hanson. I feel like I'm scolding you. When
I know, I've never heard you call me that.
Also was first elected to the board in 2011. At that time, she juggled the responsibilities of her career as a second-grade teacher at Michael M. Burns School with family, being a new grandma. You were a grandma at that time?
Yes.
Yeah. And various volunteer activities. She has since welcomed how many grandkids to the family?
Well, I have 8 total. I don't know
Total.
how many.
But I know at least of 3.
I think 6 have been born since 2011.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
So even though she's retired from teaching, I'm sure she stays as busy as ever between grandkids and her volunteer activity. Over the course of the past 8 years, Sheila has served on 4 of the 6 board committees: General Government Committee, Properties and Rec Committee, Public Health and Safety Committee, and the Public Works and Water Committee. Always kind, always caring, Sheila's calm and pleasant demeanor served the board well over the years. We will miss her detailed reports and delightful sense of humor. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Barry Allen, I don't know your middle name. Okay. Barry William Allen was elected to the board in 2015. Prior to that, Barry served on the Police Pension Board and was very active with the Western Springs Caucus Party. Except for a brief rebellious period in his youth, Barry also has lived in Western Springs his entire life. He too brought that knowledge to the board, and we are the better for it. He has successfully juggled his challenging banking career with family life and the endless duties of trustee. While on the board, Barry has served on the Public Health and Safety Committee and the Public Works and Water Committee. His input on infrastructure matters, including long-term projections and strategic planning, has proved invaluable to the board. Always courteous, always insightful, we will miss Barry's keen intelligence and focused attention to detail. Thank you, Barry. While we are looking forward to welcoming the 3 incoming trustees to the board later tonight, the void felt by the departure of these 3 experienced and knowledgeable trustees will be felt for a long time. On behalf of the board, please join us in thanking Barry, Sheila, and Ed for their dedicated service to the village. We wish them good health and much happiness in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Oh, does anybody else have any comments they'd like to?
Well, hearing all of the accomplishments of these outgoing board members, I don't know what else is left to do here. But I've enjoyed watching and listening to their comments and their understanding of the very complex issues that the departments in Western Springs manage so carefully, and I've enjoyed that, but have enjoyed the fact that I could just listen to them and learn and follow their direction. Now that they're going, it's time to step up. And that's a little bit of a scary prospect. I was never, as you would imagine, never a runner, a sprinter, but I understand that there's a technique involved in staying behind someone and drafting. And so now that there's no one in front of me, I hope that I will be able to lead in the way that they taught me to lead, and looking forward to that challenge. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'm confident you will be able to do just that, Trustee Zuckerman.
I think that we are supposed to say something according to the agenda, correct?
Oh,
Because it says comments from the outgoing board. And so since I'm the only female outgoing person, I'm going to pull ladies first. But I have to say, I was kind of startled to see that. I'm like, I asked Marcia Buell, I'm like, wait, I have to talk? She said, well, you just say thank you and everything. So first person I need to say thank you is to my husband, who has not had a decent meal in 8 years on every other Monday night. And then you also throw in another meeting that I would go to for the rec commission sometimes. So 3 out of 4 Mondays I was not home. And he's still not going to get decent meals on Monday night, but I do appreciate your understanding and everything. I also want to express my extreme gratitude to my fellow trustees, all of the directors, village staff, Attorney Jerusik, and of course President Gallagher and President Rodiger, former President Rodiger. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. I just feel very honored to have been given this opportunity. And I've learned a lot, especially about water and train platforms and sidewalks. But I've met some wonderful people who I hope I will continue to be friendly with. And this is a vibrant town with wonderful people. And I leave this board knowing it's in great hands. Good luck to the new board members. I've known Nicole mostly her whole life because she grew up down the street from us. And I've gotten to know Alan Fink, and I'm sure he will do a great job. And Jim, right? James, I'm sorry. I don't know him, but I know his wife because she's my eye doctor. But thank you so much. It's been a wonderful 8 years, and I look forward to learning what's on TV on Monday nights. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. We will miss you.
Thanks. Go ahead. Well, you can be next, Trustee Barry.
Thank you, Trustee Sheila. It's clearly a tough act to follow. Also, thank you to my wife and family for giving me the time and support to run for this position. I understand that if I am home on Monday nights, I have to keep quiet if they are watching The Bachelorette on TV, so I'll try to do my best. To my fellow trustees, Village President Gallagher, and Village Clerk Horvath, former village trustee, thank you for your patience, flexibility, and for teaching me many things. For those that I served on committees with, thank you for never once complaining about the grueling 7 a.m. meeting start times and my uncanny ability to turn a 30-minute meeting into over an hour. But as I always say, if you don't ask a question, there will never be room for the answer. I enjoyed working with each of you, and never once did I feel you weren't doing everything you could for the long-term benefit of the village. President Gallagher in particular attends every single committee meeting and every board meeting. I don't know how she does it. She must have a very understanding husband. I will miss each of you. To Ingrid, senior staff, all departments, and particularly Public Works, Police, and Fire that I know the most, thank you for running this village so well. Each of you provides a sincere dedication to the village. I never once saw it like you were just punching a ticket to be here. Your commitment is evident in everything you do. By keeping the village functioning so well, you gave the board opportunity to talk about things that I love, which are finance and strategy, and I tried not to overdo it, but I did love that. So thank you for all that you do. I will think of you each often as well, as I see your crews out working along in the village, or perhaps even when we're paying water bills. To our residents, thank you for letting me serve in this position. It has, as Trustee Hansen, it is really quite an honor. They say it takes a community to raise a family, and we definitely experienced that. We feel very fortunate to have lived here nearly our whole lives, and it's really everyone here on TV, in this room, and outside of these halls that make this place so special, and I was glad to be part of it. I do have a little something for the village, and Ingrid, if I may.
Oh my! Thank you so much. This will definitely
it's
a coin from
silver
18
dollar.
Silver dollar. Yes,
That's very
That's
nice.
cool. We will put that up in Village Hall. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you. That's very nice. Very appropriate. Yes. Trustee Timmett.
Well, if I'd known Trustee Allen was going to bring gifts, I would have pushed to go before. Feel a little cheap now, but. Exactly.
College debt.
I would be completely remiss if I didn't first thank my wife and family. People talk about my busy schedule, but frankly, I pack a suitcase and I leave, and it's my wife who keeps things running and the kids who understand when I'm not home. So, debt of gratitude to them. I can't believe it's been 8 years. It went by so fast. It was an awesome experience. I'm so glad, one, that I had the opportunity to do it and that the residents entrusted me with the responsibility to hold this position. I've really enjoyed working with my fellow trustees, each and every one of them. I've learned something from everyone over the years. The village staff, I don't think our residents truly see or understand how hard they work on a daily basis, and that is one thing that my eyes were open to. It was just amazing, and thank you for everything. And hopefully we left the village a little bit better than we started with. And I have complete faith, and I'm really looking forward to see what the new board will do in the coming years. And I definitely will hang around and see what I can do to help in the future. But thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Now the transition qualification of the newly elected trustees. So if the former trustees would please step down. It seems so harsh. Or maybe not yet. First, we have to do the oath of office, so stay here while we do the oath of office. Don't collect your things.
Remaining board members, is the mic working? I don't have to hold anything? Okay. First time up here since the new one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to report on the certification of the election with regard to the three trustees. This is from Karen Yarbrough, Cook County Clerk, and I'll read it to everyone here. To all whom it may concern, greetings. I, Karen A. Yarbrough, Cook County Clerk of the County of Cook in the state of Illinois, do hereby certify that at the consolidated election on the second day of April AD 2019, Cole Chen, Alan Fink, and James A. John were duly elected trustees of the Village of Western Springs, all of which appears from the records and files of my office, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of said county this 23rd day of April AD 2019. Karen Yarbrough, Cook County Clerk. So that makes the election official.
Yes, thank you.
And the next step, and again, I apologize. So, will Nicole Chen come forward? Now, I want to thank Trustee Zifferman for reminding me about raising the hand.
There you go. It's an oath of office, of course.
Also, Chief Kenny, who reminded me to keep it short in terms of what they have to repeat. I, Nicole Chen, having been elected solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village trustee according to the best of my ability.
What do you do with the oath?
I, James John,
I, James John,
having been elected to the office of village trustee,
having been elected to the office of village trustee
Village of Western Springs,
in the village of Western Springs,
County of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support
the Constitution of the State of Illinois, Code of the Village of Western Springs, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village trustee according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Al Fink was, had to leave Illinois. He had to go to Minneapolis for the weekends, or for the weekend and through today, so he could not attend tonight's meeting. So now we'll take a short 5-minute recess and switch seats. Thanks, Sheila. We'll get your name. Thank you. Thanks, Barry.
Across the street, right?
Of course.
Please acknowledge here for me.
Hopefully.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I signed them already.
James, yes. Welcome aboard.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll sign
You don't
it
have to, you don't have to sign that.
Why don't I do it right now? And then
I have them.
I'll have it. Okay. I had one. I don't know what I did with it.
Matt, nice to meet you.
Come on down.
Okay.
Right here.
Hello. Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Russ. Alice Gallagher.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take the seat right here.
Thank you for keeping me here. That is nice, yeah. Oh, is it alphabetical?
I'm in the
Okay.
office every Tuesday from 2 to 4. Does that
So we're going to be working closely together.
Yes, we are.
So look at the
Nice to see you. Yes. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, our first meeting is finance.
May 5th on
I'm wondering if you got it.
at 6:15.
Are you available?
All right.
Oh, I know, this one.
Okay.
Do you work downtown?
Well, thank you.
I do.
would
Nice
like to.
job.
But I do travel every once in a while, so right now I'm a little bit in flux with travel, so.
Okay.
Well, so you saw, I think my response was 6:15
Yes.
enables taking the 5:41 train.
Oh, does it?
And
Okay.
still, like, get in.
Okay, okay,
Jim and I have
perfect.
done this before. Where
All right.
we take that.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, 5:41, all right. I normally get on the 5:17, so I got
Well, it could be,
Yeah, but no, that works perfectly.
It's-
What do you guys have to planning and zoning? No.
Fancy one sitting right next to me.
Finance.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be well informed.
And,
Even that.
so that's our
Planning and
finance
zoning.
meeting, but then, yes,
Wait,
planning and
okay.
zoning.
All right, thanks.
Which I'm not sure what I need to do with that,
She's
so.
official.
Okay, okay.
I have an
Finance, you're putting.
Finance is kind of a lot.
Okay.
All right. Oh, yes. That's how you guys want to do it.
I need somebody that can count.
I don't know if I can count like Barry, so.
I don't think anybody can
Okay,
count like that.
good. Set
I mean,
expectations
seriously.
Well, I don't have the time right now.
Yeah, he's amazing. What he.
Okay, great. I'll see you then. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me.
Right now. Cross.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Okay, good.
All right.
Do you know about municipal finance?
All right, then you gotta go.
Google for, right?
Fund
It's
accounting?
embarrassing. Okay.
That's what
All right,
Google's
thank
for.
you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, then
No,
I'll
and
leave that the other
they're
one.
terrific.
Yeah.
Yes.
Staff fills you.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Looks good.
Well, welcome to the dais. We are excited to move forward with the new trustees and appreciate your service, and appreciate your family supporting you in allowing you to do this service, which often takes you away from home in critical times. So, thank you very much. I have the trustee committee assignments effective today. There are 6 committees on our board: Finance Committee, General Government Committee, Public Health and Safety, Properties and Recreation, Public Works and Water, and Planning and Zoning. Each committee has at least one director liaison and works closely with that department. Each committee chair is the liaison to the Associated Commission. Each committee has 2 members, and each trustee is a member of one committee and chair of another. This is where issues are thoroughly vetted, and the committee determines whether or not to recommend an item for full board approval or action. The full board may discuss such an item further at the workshop meeting, and if there is a consensus, it will proceed to a vote. If there's any objection, it can also proceed to a vote by the full board, or it can go back to the committee for further review. So committee assignments, starting with the Finance Committee, Trustee Rudolph is our chair, and Trustee John will be the member. General Government Committee, Trustee Tyrrell is the chair, and Trustee Chen the member. Planning and Zoning, Trustee John is the chair, and Trustee Rudolph the member. Public Health and Safety, Trustee Sifferman is the chair, and Trustee Fink will be the member. Properties and Recreation, Trustee Chen is the chair, and Trustee Tyrrell the member. And Public Works and Water, Trustee Fink the chair, and Trustee Sifferman the member. Thank you. Just a few items of note. The Tower Trot is this Saturday, May 25th. We are partnering again this year with Healing Hearts for Ashley. The Tower Trot will go rain or shine. The Memorial Day Parade is this Monday, next Monday, May 27th at 10 a.m. at Hillgrove in Hampton. This is our own homegrown parade. It's very touching. It's our opportunity to thank the men and women in uniform who have served our country, sometimes paying the ultimate price so that we can continue on with our daily lives. The WSBA, the Business Association's Gathering on the Green, is Saturday, June 8th. So it's a little different. It's no longer on Friday evening. It will be Saturday from noon until 10 p.m. And then the West Central Municipal Conference Annual Dinner will be held June 14th this year. All trustees are invited to attend. That concludes my report. Village Manager Velkme.
Thank you, President Gallagher. I do have 2 items tonight. I am pleased to introduce our new Assistant Director of Finance, and that is John Mastodona. And John comes to us from the village of Bloomingdale, where he was the accounting manager for 5 years, and previous to that, he was in the private sector. John has a degree in accounting and economics from Illinois Wesleyan University. So, John, stand up so they know who you are. So, we're very happy to have you.
Welcome.
And Director Turi is very happy to have you, too. So. Also, on Thursday evening, last Thursday evening, I attended the West Suburban Chamber of Commerce Industries Regional 30 Under 40, and Daisy Chavez, our own Daisy, our management analyst, was honored for her outstanding work with the Western Springs Green Team and the village's first styrofoam recycling program. So it was a very nice evening, and President Gallagher was there. Also, Director Scott was there too. So it was very nice.
Very nice. I was happy to be a part of that commemoration, not only for Daisy, but it was amazing to see all these young, this next generation of professionals and all that they do. Very heartwarming. Congratulations, Daisy.
And that is all. Thank you.
Village Attorney Jerusik.
Short report, none.
Thank goodness. In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Way to step up, Bill.
I was drafting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we stand adjourned. Good evening.
Okay.
Wow, that was easy.
And then we go to dimension.
Okay.
They're not always as easy as you. Yeah, oh, yeah, to come in for the last 3 minutes? Yes.
We'll wait till the meeting starts.